So, I have a question for you to start us off today.
Okay, I'm ready.
It's something I was thinking about, on my drive-in this morning. When you put on your headphones or you turn on the radio,
Hmm?
what are you actually doing?
Hmm. That sounds like a trick question. I mean, usually we'd say we're entertaining ourselves.
Right.
Or maybe just trying to, I don't know, drown out the silence.
Right. That's the surface answer. We're looking for a vibe, but I want to push on that. Are you just filling the air or are you self-medicating?
That is a very specific and somewhat clinical way to frame it.
It is.
But based on the stack of research we're looking at today, it is not an exaggeration. We tend to think of sound and music as art, right? Something subjective.
Totally.
But if you look at the physiology, the biology, and even the physics in these documents, sound is a tool. It's a mechanism that physically alters your brain structure, changes your blood chemistry, and can even, and I love this part,
I know what you're going to say.
help solve complex physics problems.
It is wild stuff. And we are looking at a really eclectic stack of sources for this deep dive. I mean, usually we stick to one lane, but today we're all over the map.
We really are.
We've got a workshop curriculum on grief from the Hong Kong Satter Center. We have a fascinating research article from the Bansam-Dej Music Journal. And that one covers everything from ancient history to brainwaves.
And then there's a master's thesis from Chulalongkorn University about something called isochronic tones and sleep,
It's quite the range. We're going to be jumping from ancient Egyptian rituals.
all the way to modern smartphone apps.
And the mission here is to uncover the hidden mechanics of sound. We want to understand how it actually restructures our bodies and emotions. So let's unpack this.
Where should we start?
I want to start with the physical stuff because I think that's where people get skeptical. You hear sound healing and you might think of, crystals and insects.
Right. People sitting on yoga mats humming. It can sound a bit new age.
A bit pseudoscientific, maybe?
Yes, if you aren't looking at the history. But the history here is surprisingly clinical.
The source from the Bansam-Dej Music Journal points that out, right? This isn't some new trend. It's actually ancient technology.
It is. The historical context it gives is really grounding. It mentions that the ancient Greeks actually used music as a form of magic spell.
Okay, see, magic spells sounds a little out there.
Well, to us, yeah. But their intent was medical. They believed they could drive out evil spirits that were causing illness.
Which, okay, still sounds like magic. But then you look at the Egyptians.
They called music the, what was it? The physic of soul?
The physic of soul. They even thought it affected fertility.
And the Persians used the sound of the lute specifically to treat patients. But what's fascinating to me is how this transitioned into what we recognize as modern medicine.
You mean with Florence Nightingale?
Exactly. The source mentions her in 1859. She's the founder of modern nursing.
The lady with the lamp.
That's her. She wasn't casting spells. She was using wind and string instruments to calm patients. She saw that the sonic environment was part of the healing process.
And it kept going, right? Even into World War II.
Yeah, musicians played for wounded soldiers specifically to relieve pain and trauma. So we have this long, long lineage of sound being used as a real medical intervention.
So we've established that people believed it worked for thousands of years. But belief isn't mechanism. This is where I want to get into the weeds. How does it work?
This is where the source talks about resonance.
And this is where it gets really interesting.
It's the physics of it. So sound enters the body as waves. We all know that. But the text describes a specific phenomenon called arterial vessel resonance.
Arterial vessel resonance. Okay, break that down for me.
All right, think about your heart beating. When your heart beats, your blood isn't just sitting there. It vibrates. It pulses.
Okay, so I have vibrating blood. It's a weird image, but I'm with you.
And the music can create a resonance in the arteries. The source says this resonance travels all the way down to the atoms, molecules, and...
cellular.
Exactly. The key concept here is unity. When the external sound frequencies match the body's own fundamental frequency, it helps healing in enzymes, in organs, everywhere.
So it's like pushing a swing. If you push at just the right time, the swing goes higher.
That is a great analogy.
So if the sound hits the right frequency, the cells just respond.
You're literally vibrating your cells into a different state. It's not just your ears hearing it. Your liver, your kidneys, your blood vessels are hearing it via vibration.
That is just mind-blowing. It's like tuning a guitar, but the guitar is your body.
In a manner of speaking, yes. And this isn't just abstract vibration. There's a very practical rule mentioned in the text about beats per minute, or BPM.
The BPM rule. I found this super practical.
It's almost written like a prescription.
It is. So if you listen to soothing music, which they say is around 60 BPM,
It lowers your heart rate, lowers your blood pressure, your oxygen consumption. It actually slows the blood flow to your brain.
and 60 is the magic number because that's a resting heart rate.
Yes. You're essentially teaching your heart to slow down by giving it a template to copy.
But if you crank it up to lively music, say over 90 BPM,
Circulation increases, excitement levels rise. You are physically revving the engine.
if I'm at the gym, I want 90 plus. If I'm trying to decompress after a stressful meeting, I need to find that 60 BPM sweet spot.
You got it. You are curating your biological response.
And then there's the chemical side. The source makes a claim about endorphins that I have to say, it shocked me. I had to read it twice.
I know the one you mean.
It says music stimulates the limbic system to release endorphins, which we know are natural painkillers. But the comparison they made,
It is a very bold statistic. The source claims these natural endorphins, the ones generated by music, have a potency 1,000 times stronger than opium.
of 1,000 times stronger than opium.
For relaxation and happiness, yes.
That is a massive claim.
It is, and we should probably clarify, they aren't saying listening to a pop song is the same as taking a narcotic.
Right. Of course not.
They're talking about the potency of the neurochemicals your own body produces. It just highlights that we aren't just talking about feeling good, we're talking about a very powerful neurochemical response.
It really connects back to this idea of regulating our internal states. We're always looking for external things to calm us down or cheer us up.
Coffee, alcohol, whatever it is.
Yeah, but the body has this internal pharmacy that sound can unlock.
Precisely. You have the chemicals inside you. Sound is just the key that opens the cabinet.
Okay, so that covers the body. We've got vibrating arteries and natural opiates. But let's move upstairs to the brain. Because one of my favorite anecdotes from these sources involves a certain physicist with very wild hair.
Ah, the Einstein connection. This is a perfect example of music affecting the intellect.
The source breaks down the brain into left and right hemispheres. Now, I know modern neuroscience sometimes says this is a bit simplified, but in the context of the article, how do they explain it?
Well, they explain it as a division of labor. The left brain handles rhythm, logic, math, sequence.
And the right brain handles melody, pitch, imagination.
Right. And listening to music engages both of them at the same time.
It forces a synchronization.
Correct. And Einstein is the case study here.
I love this story. So the story goes, Einstein would get stuck on a physics problem, maybe the theory of relativity itself. He's hitting a wall, the math isn't working.
And instead of just banging his head against the chalkboard, what does he do?
He goes and plays the violin or the piano.
And he wasn't just taking a break to distract himself. The source describes a moment where he was playing the piano, he just stopped, jotted down some notes.
And then suddenly exclaimed he had found the answer. I found it. Just like that.
Yeah. The takeaway from the text is that the music didn't just relax him. It expanded his thought process. It allowed him to resolve these incredibly complex logic puzzles that pure thinking couldn't solve.
It sort of greased the gears of his intuition.
That's a great way to put it. It engaged the intuitive, melodic side of his brain, which then allowed the logical side to break through its deadlock.
I love that image. Einstein playing a sonata to unlock the universe.
Yeah.
It really challenges the idea that music is just a hobby or distraction. For him, it was a necessary part of the process.
It really was.
So if you're stuck on a spreadsheet or a coding problem, maybe you need to step away and listen to something complex.
Well, it certainly worked for Einstein.
Precisely. Now, if we pivot from the intellectual to the emotional, we have to look at the source from the Hong Kong Satter Center. And this takes us into much heavier territory, grief and loss.
Yeah, this document is about a workshop called The Musical Iceberg of Loss, Pain, and Grief. That title alone, The Musical Iceberg, is so evocative.
It's based on the Satter model of therapy. What's the core idea there?
The premise is that grief is universal, but it's often unspeakable. We just struggle to find words for deep loss. The tip of the iceberg is what we show the world.
But the mass of it is underwater.
Exactly. The source argues that music resonates with the unconscious and our bodily reactions in a way words just can't.
There's a concept here that I think is so valuable for anyone going through a hard time, the idea of safe distance.
Yes, this is crucial. When you're dealing with trauma or acute grief, confronting it head-on can be re-traumatizing. It's too much. It's too hot to touch.
I can see that.
And the source explains that music offers a non-threatening technique. It allows a person to express that internal turbulence and pain from a safe and protective distance.
So, practically speaking, you can listen to a sad song or hum a melody, and you're processing the emotion without having to sit there and verbally analyze your own pain.
Exactly. The music becomes a container for the feeling. It holds the grief so you don't have to hold it all by yourself.
It mentions using a musical mandala of personal resources songs, humming, rhythm to access hope. And importantly, the source emphasizes that the goal isn't to be a good musician.
That is such a huge barrier for people, isn't it? They think, well, I can't sing, so I can't use music.
Right, but the text says the goal is voicing the hidden. It's about getting what's inside out. I think that's so liberating. We get so hung up on whether we're good at art, but here, the quality of the art doesn't matter.
The function of the art matters.
Right. It promotes growth and change simply by allowing the emotion to move.
If it moves, you're doing it right.
Now, speaking of movement and containers, there is a bit of a paradox in the Bantam Days Music Journal source. We've been talking about sound, 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 but that source argues that the ultimate goal of music is actually
Silence.
silence.
This is a really profound point. It draws on teachings from Osho and Jung Klein. The argument is that sound creates a contrast that makes us aware of silence. You can't really know silence until you've heard a sound die away.
Gene Klein has this violin analogy that I thought was beautiful. Can you walk us through that?
He suggests that listening to music requires an open, non-judgmental awareness. When you listen to a violin, you aren't fighting the sound. You aren't arguing with it. You're just receiving it.
Okay.
Klein says this is the exact same state required for deep meditation.
So listening to music is like training wheels for meditation.
In a way, yes. When you really listen, you are in the now. And the source contrasts this with modern education. It argues that modern education kills intelligence, which they define here as cheerfulness and creativity, because it focuses so much on memory.
We're taught to memorize facts for later, rather than experiencing what's happening right now.
Right. Music and meditation revive that intelligence by forcing us back into the present moment. You can't listen to a melody in the past or the future. You can only hear it right now.
That's a great perspective. Music anchors you in the present. So we've looked at ancient rituals, we've looked at Einstein, at grief workshops. Now I want to fast forward. Let's look at that master's thesis from Chulalongkorn University.
The isochronic tones thesis.
This feels like the biohacking version of everything we've just discussed.
It really is. The study focuses on using isochronic tones delivered via a smartphone app.
First off, for those of us who aren't audio engineers, what exactly is an isochronic tone?
Well, without getting too bogged down in the physics, it's basically a regular beat of a single tone that turns on and off really fast. It creates a very sharp rhythmic pulse.
Okay.
It's a very precise digital sound designed for something called brainwave entrainment.
Brainwave entrainment. That means guiding your brain into a specific state.
Exactly. Just like the 60 BPM rule we talked about earlier helps your heart, these tones help your brainwaves sync up.
And the application here was for early adulthood subjects, specifically to improve sleep quality.
Correct. They took a group of young adults, a demographic that is, notorious for bad sleep habits, staring at screens all night,
Guilty as charged.
and had them use this app. The goal was to see if these digital tones could effectively help them sleep better. And the connection here is what fascinates me.
What's that?
We have moved from ancient lutes and live rituals to using precise digital frequencies on our phones to hack our own biology.
It validates the ancient theories with modern digital delivery systems.
It does. It shows that the mechanism sound affecting biology is constant. Whether it's a wooden flute in Egypt or an app on an iPhone in Bangkok, the principle is the same.
We're using external frequencies to tune our internal state.
That's it.
That really is the through line, isn't it? We're trying to tune the machine, whether it's to heal a broken heart, solve a physics problem, or just get a good night's sleep.
And it suggests that we have a lot more control over our physiology than we think. We aren't just at the mercy of our moods.
So let's bring it all home. What does this all mean for the person listening to this right now? Because we've covered a lot of ground.
It means you have a tool available to you 24/7. You don't need a prescription. You don't need to be a musician.
Right.
If you are feeling sluggish, you can use high BPM music to increase your circulation. If you are grieving, you can use music to create a safe container for those emotions.
If you're stuck on a problem at work, you can use music to engage your whole brain like Einstein did.
It's all about being intentional. Instead of just letting sound happen to you or just putting on background noise to ignore the silence.
You curate it.
Exactly. You become the composer of your own biological state.
I love that phrase. Composer of your own biological state. That is a powerful concept. It puts the baton in your hand.
It really does.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave our listener with a thought that popped into my head while reading all this. We've talked about how music can heal, restructure the brain, calm the heart. It's this incredibly potent input.
Yes, it's a force.
So, if music is a bridge to the unconscious and a way to rewire our brainwaves, what are we doing to our minds when we consume chaotic, accidental noise all day?
Oh, that is the provocative question.
Think about it. Traffic, construction, multiple conversations happening at once, notifications pinging all the time. If structured sound is medicine, is unstructured noise a kind of toxin?
It raises the issue of a sonic diet. We watch what we eat, we track our calories, but we rarely, if ever, watch what we hear.
And if these sources are right, what we hear is physically changing us.
So the question is, are we passively letting the world program our biology with chaos rather than composing it ourselves?
It's something we should probably pay a lot more attention to. Something to mull over the next time you reach for the volume knob.
Or the next time you have a chance to just enjoy some silence.
Because silence is part of the music too.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the architecture of sound.
It was a pleasure.
We'll catch you on the next one. Keep listening.